Welcome to the Chi for Two podcast. We're a group of Chi for Two embodiment coaches that look at pop culture with a Chi for Two lens. I'm Chelsea Szegidewicz.
I'm Fred Shelton.
I'm Cas Pryor.
And this is the Chi for Two podcast. Chi for Two is a mindful embodiment method.
We use the term Chi to indicate energy in and around the body.
Or two refers to how that energy in and around the body is affected by our two-person interactions.
Indeed.
And today we're talking about a song by Bruno Mars called Grenade from the early 2000s. I know it's a throwback, but it must be talked about.
A lot of great concepts in that one, so looking forward to talking about it.
So we're going to watch the video, and then we're going to start talking about it. Oh, no.
Yeah.
So Bruno, I've been a fan of his for a number of years, especially around that era. He kind of brings back a little bit of the 90s R&B flavor, especially in this particular video with the rainfall. That's pretty ubiquitous in that kind of R&B. But yeah, this song has a lot of opportunity. Catching a grenade for love, you know, the expectation that my partner is supposed to do what I would do for them. On one hand, that sounds like reciprocity to me. On the other hand, you got two humans that are wired differently, built differently, had different childhoods, different value systems, different love languages. Is that a healthy expectation? I don't know. I don't think so.
No, absolutely not.
The way he's dragging the piano reminds me of dragging a cross, like so martyring himself, and this idea that that's what makes him good and valuable is his willingness to harm himself. It's very sad. But good that he's putting it into a song and making a music video and you know, not actually harming himself, one hopes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, It looks like he harmed himself at the end by getting hit by a train, so... Woo!
So in terms of like a wish for a certain kind of self-harm, it's interesting to talk about what feeling you're looking for. Mm-hmm. Like if somebody's thinking that they're feeling suicidal and they want to get hit by a train, maybe they want to do some push, or they want to feel like be able to push against something, or maybe they need some pouch, some like a strong, like responsive container, you know, something like that. But their body is wanting some kind of sensation, but not necessarily to actually end their life, but to have that sensation that will help them feel better.
Right. It's like a part of them that wants to die. What's a part of you that can push that away, get it out? Mm-hmm. I noticed while he was singing by the window in the rain, he was kind of pushing against the window itself, kind of feeling into him. So like when you push into something that's not you, you feel yourself, as we know here in Chi for Two. So maybe there's a little part of him pushing, feeling into that, and writing the song itself. Like, I wonder if he actually felt these feelings about somebody, or if it was just like, okay, I'm just going to write the song because, you know, something that people could probably relate to. I wonder how people feel about this song, because when I hear it, I'm like, ah! But some people are like singing it from their heart and like feeling the lyrics.
Yeah, it absolutely is reminiscent of what I mentioned earlier. There is a lineage and a just a long line of R&B music that is sacrificial from both men and women artists. But in this case, you've got Bruno Mars, saying that he is willing to do whatever it takes, even in his own life, and I don't know. catch a grenade for you, throw my hand on a blade for you. I don't know if that's like I want to die. It is a matter of like, I mean, the way I see it is I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to sacrifice myself to um, set myself behind. And I think the messaging that society, whether it be our own doing or not, that's a whole nother story. But the messaging that society gives to men in terms of how we are supposed to interact with the significant others in our lives, the women in our lives, and how we're supposed to be that superhero, that protector and provider, and all of that. And while some may buy into some of those concepts, there is a self-care that's necessary, a push that's into the world so that the man, whomever he is, can have his spine elongated and can feel into his most grounded self. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of that is disregarded when we become in relationships because the expectation is that you will stop at nothing to put a smile on the face of your wife and your children. And unfortunately, the stopping at nothing is you're going through lack of sleep, you're going through deadlines elsewhere that you're neglecting, you're going through the self-care that you're neglecting in order to keep your family in a certain state of mind. And so I think that sacrifice, that martyrdom, is somewhat ubiquitous in the societal understanding of the interaction between men and women. And something that, should be addressed for sure.
Yeah.
We talked about that starting with young boys and their mothers. So the dad turning to the little boy and saying, protect your mother, take care of her for me while I'm away. And a child ought not to be told, take care of the parents. They're just little. They still need to be taken care of. So, yes, I think it's, I would, although what he's saying, catching a grenade and all that, it's what he would do becomes with some people, it's a thin line for, I would do this for you, to, oh no, you're now not interested in me. Well, let me prove it, and harming themselves. Like, that does happen. So I'm glad it's a song because it's worth exploring those feelings and being able to get them out in the creative process rather than them being stuck just within yourself and not being able to get that out. So I think even though when I'm hearing the song, I mean, it's useful for me. When I hear the song, I'm like, oh, come on. No, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Take care of yourself, please, Bruno Mars. But that's useful for me to do. It's a good reminder for me to be like, well, yeah, okay, I'm grateful for where I am today and what I'm able to do to take care of myself and the relationships that I have. So it's still good. It's not saying, as a song, putting it out there, not saying do this. It's just a useful way to really process these big feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I didn't know Chelsea you were gonna say something. Yeah, there's a lot of big feelings there. But one thing I did want to mention, I'm not sure how familiar with his discography. He has a lot of music that is happy, upbeat. And they're doing well. Treasure is probably one of the better ones in terms of just the feeling of that era in his musical creations. But anyway. Grenade is definitely a heavy song. It's certainly something that I think, if he had Tea for Two, it would more so be I'm gonna walk on my side of the street for you. I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna feed myself for you. I'm going to take up my own space. I'm gonna hit the gym. I'm going to clear my mind for you and for your love, right? And so it is a shifting of the nuance where I'm not selfish, but I am self-centered in that I'm doing what is necessary to keep my spine straight and aligned, right? As opposed to, I find myself, having to, I feel like I have to people please sometimes. And so that means that, oh, I need to go and devote time to this work or go and devote time to this. But someone I love asks me to do something. Okay, well, let me figure out how to rearrange it. Let me figure it out, as opposed to saying, hey, look, that ideally I would be able to say yes, but I can't say yes at this time, or maybe I can offer that which you're asking me at another time. Like there is a level of shifting into the establishment of boundaries, the establishment of that self-care, that self-routine. You got to, in order to pour into others, your cup has to be full first. And so I think that it would be one of the things that would help Bruno, using Chief for Two to learn some of these skills to be the best person for himself. She might want you to, Bruno, if you poured into yourself more and weren't so available. Now again, and that's maybe not the best route to take, simply because you can't make someone feel something, and you can't necessarily have some sort of expectation based on you doing what's necessary for you. However, I think oftentimes the Hallmark rom-coms will have when a person is least looking for it, when they are so focused on themselves, that's when the person that they were made for, was made for them, pops into their lives, right? So that's just another thing to think about.
Right. And there's the idea that we're looking for the one, when there's not necessarily the one. Relating back to like mother lover dances, like, you're the one I'm looking for. But in reality, I mean, in my opinion, there's multiple soulmates for everyone, but it's kind of just deciding, like, okay, we're gonna decide to be on each other's side. And how can we move forward in a healthy way? Doing the practices on my side of the street. So the idea that if you're watching this, or if you're listening, you can imagine putting your right or left hand out to your side and feeling the energy to your side, imagining your lover there, your partner there. It could be a friend, like just whoever it might be. Imagining they're on your side, kind of sitting with that energy, how it feels to be on their side. And when you have some big feelings come up, like, oh, you won't do this for me, I'd do this for you, but you won't do this for me, and kind of going forward with your emotions, not really putting it on your partner, but that's the kind of stuff you would bring to a coach or a therapist, a Chief for Two coach, elder. So practicing that, I think, might be helpful if you're getting stirred up with your partner, expecting a lot from them. Another thing I want to talk about is like expectations, like not having your expectations met. If anyone wants to dive in about that.
Yeah, sure. I think when you talk about the concept of expectations, there are two things that come to mind to me. First is boundaries, and then wants and desires and needs, right? Well, yeah, boundaries and needs are probably over here, and then wants and desires are over here. So expectations, I expect you not to be verbally abusive to me. That is something that I think is pretty ubiquitous and makes sense, right? But if I expect you to have my coffee right at 7:15 with 3 sugars and 6 creams every single day, like that's just not quite as healthy, right? So I think that oftentimes expectations are things that cause us to fall into disappointments and oftentimes maybe even depression, because we are putting on something else outside of us something And then when that doesn't come back to us in the way we want it to be, in the exact package with the exact colored bow on top, we have a problem. And so I think there is some self inventory that's necessary in order to say, hey, look, are my expectations reasonable? Do they even make sense to occur? If I'm new to the dating world and I'm just meeting someone, maybe I shouldn't have any expectations. I don't know this person, they don't know me. What expectations do I have? Now, is it again, when you arrive, our interaction is one way, and there are some things that human interaction has been decided upon, right? As opposed to how you navigate the learning of one another and the establishment of a relationship. That takes significant communication, and for our listeners, the practice Chelsea was sharing with you is called it transitions from on my side to not my side of the street. And conceptually, you know, couples and peers are walking, let's say, forward on the same path, but on their own sides of the street. And so what that means is there are various things like self-doubt. There are like anxiety and depression. There are things on your own side of the street that you should manage. You should invest your time and energy into addressing. And at that point, during you doing your own internal process here, you can feel the energy and feel the support and give the support to your partner, your peer, your coworker. Chief for Two enables us to work with peers in order to understand how to walk alongside each other, but remain on your own side of the street in order to remain as standing tall on your own as possible.
Yeah, it's really hard in the romantic dance sometimes to distinguish between baby stuff and not baby stuff. So when you're new to it, identifying those sensations in your body, and when it becomes you trying to get your baby needs met, your early infant parent dances that need redos, the stuff that feels like life death if I don't get this. It takes practice to tell what that is, and then to start timing out and bringing that to an elder, a coach, a therapist, practitioner. When you're doing on my side, if you ever start to feel your fingers curling in, or a desire to control your partner or your colleague or your friend, then you can do a timeout. So catching your claws. So this should be the other way. Use your dominant hand to catch your claws. My cat is a kitten, and he keeps trying to eat this wire. And I'm having a hard time keeping him from eating the wire to the power cord to my computer. So I keep reaching over trying to get him to do something else. But he's a killer. He's got to hunt. And he keeps trying to hunt electrical things. And
it is a new addition to your family too, right?
Yeah, his name's Mr. Peepers. And he's in a fighting mood. And I celebrate his claws and jaws in safe ways. He's a little crazy down there. He's just attacking everything right now. Sorry, it's a little distracting. Anyway, yes, but not my side of the street comes from 12-step work. It's really easy in families with substance abuse to just lots of different family dances where there's just so much enmeshment, so much merging. It's hard to tell what is you and what is not you. And so I think that push is really helpful to find where you end and where the other person begins, so you don't end up having to sense what everybody else needs in order to feel safe. That can happen a lot with early patterning, that the only way that your nervous system can feel safe is if you're sensing everybody else around you and trying to keep everything matching. So being able to really practice that, it can feel so unsafe because it's like tearing two things apart, but practicing push to feel what does not mean, what is me, and finding your arms to be able to do your hula hoop, to find the space around your body. And you have a say about this space. In Bruno Mars's case, he's singing, really belting it out, and that kind of makes space around his body. So defining what is him and what is not him. So he can go on his little hero's journey. It's a big journey. I mean, he's dragging a piano in this music video all over town in some neighborhoods where people are like seeming unsafe at times and things, but he's gonna go through it and fight that dragon. In a story, him coming together and winning the fair lady would really just mean he's embodying the feminine and masculine aspects. And Chi for Two, we don't really talk about feminine and masculine so much because all bodies can produce oxytocin and is capable of nurturing and mothering. But we talk about the fighting rhythms and the indulging rhythms. So being able to, instead of feeling like he has to fight, being able to, have some care for himself might be the journey that he's on. That instead of finding the indulging rhythms with a lover, he finds it a way to embody it himself.
I was just thinking about the video and how the priest had seen him on the street but didn't go up to him, even though he saw him suffer.
He's squinting him.
Yeah, that was a little strange. The priest should have, if it was a healthy, I don't know. I don't even know if they knew each other. But if he had seen him and saw him struggling, there's a part of me that thinks he should have stepped in to help him as an elder.
If all parts of the music video are one part of a part of the psyche, then yeah, that would be his internalized, elder that is not able to catch for him and instead kind of has this disapproving stare.
Right.
Cat.
Yeah. I like that as an idea in terms of the whole video being his psyche. I do think that the religious aspect of the priest and him not addressing him is indicative. We often have the conversation as to whether or not art imitates life or life imitates art. Unfortunately, we are all well aware of the places of worship that remained closed during COVID, right? And that aren't open to the unhoused communities that they are within, right? So it is unfortunate that oftentimes religious leaders lack leadership, frankly. Now, when it comes to, there was some imagery in there I wanted to address. We see him arrive to apparently her home, and we see him push the piano up to a certain point. Then we see him look up and see her with another man. At that point, he turns around and starts walking, and the chorus comes back and says, "But I'll still catch a grenade for you." It was I'll still catch a grenade for you, right? And I do think that there is some psychological, and I don't want to put crazy on anyone, him or anyone that finds themselves in that situation, but I will say there is some actual self inventory necessary at that point. The hero's journey, that life is, but finding her in this case and proving that you're worthy to her is one thing. When it is very evident that she has moved on and you still haven't, the diverted course, then there is now there is I need to really sit with somebody, come see Fred, because at the end of the day, a lot of those feelings you need to get out of your body. You need to throw them to somebody that can catch them. And then when you are able to, whether it be the one that you've been pining after or somebody else, you can approach that from not a reach, grab, pull, not a please, but from a I got it, I got me, you got it, you got yourself, and then together we got it and us, right? So that would be the most ideal approach. But it looked very Sisyphean. Sisyphus from Greek mythology. He had the boulder, he had to push up a hill, and then every time it rolled back down. That's what I thought when I saw him pushing that piano up the hill. It's just like this is not the path that you want to continue on, especially since if you haven't done that self inventory, that piano is going to come right back down the hill. You're going to push it right back up about somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, so he's doing push. Yeah, he's pushing the
That's
piano
true.
up the hill, and that's the way that he feels that he exists. And that, so he's like, I am nothing without this woman who's moved on. So I'm still going to catch a grenade for you and push this piano up this hill because it helps me feel something that I am here. But that like tiny baby that really did need to push against the body he came out of, he really needed the like or another person. It needed to be a body when he was a baby. Like when we're born, we need to be with a human being and in physical contact and using them as a supportive surface. So he's experiencing so many big like baby feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it ending with apparent suicide by being right there on the train tracks is like a cautionary tale for others, like this is, if you really take this to its conclusion, this is where it goes. You end up losing yourself for real in an irreparable way. And so yeah, maybe it being kind of it really like over the top is good. Because it can seem so subtle in our real lives. So really bringing it out there is something so big, and it feels so ridiculous. And these words and these actions, like, duh, don't do that, Bruno Mars. But this is what people do on a day to basis, like Fred said. People do this.
Yeah. Even in a sense of like, if you're in an established relationship, I think, the two of you are together. And this, in Bruno's song, he's trying to get her. Um, But even if you are in an established relationship, I think doing that inventory in terms of, do I feel fulfilled? Do I feel happy? Am I doing what I need for myself to fulfill myself and achieve the level of happiness? And oftentimes I find couples that sit before me that, I have to kind of work through that with them in terms of, hey, look, you're pointing a lot of fingers and or you're pointing one finger but a lot of fingers pointing back at you. That's cliche and ubiquitous, right? But the reality is what you're expecting from someone else, you should be sure to ask yourself if you are also giving it to yourself. To establish a relationship and to expect someone else to give you that which you're not giving yourself is, in my mind, not the healthiest approach. I would probably use different words, but the reality is, it's important to always confirm that you are doing the best you can for yourself, and like I said, keeping your cup full, so that at that point, what runs over, you can share with others.
Yeah, I'm guilty of it in my own relationship, I guess, of like trying to do something and accomplish it for myself, but I end up like poking at my partner, like, why can't you just do this? And I'm really just, I should just be talking to myself. It's a safe share, it's really hard, whatever I'm trying, with the things that I've been trying to work on. And um, when I'm pointing my finger at my partner, it's more useful to point my claws at my chief or two coach, my therapist, as it's that bringing the claws to the coach, I can get all that fight flight out and redo those infant parent dances with her, and then come back to the romantic dance feeling more like a grown up. We don't interact super great when we're both kind of stuck in our baby selves. it doesn't, it's not a really fun, not a good, ideal, intimate experience, when you're a baby. Let's be grown-ups when we're trying to, interact in a romantic dance. So sometimes it's useful to do some, like some of these partner practices standing, so that you can feel in your pelvis that you are able to stand up and have some kind of bounce there, in your hips, and that you're feeling safe in your body and you feel like a grown up. Babies can't stand up. So a lot of times when you're feeling in your baby self and you're doing this stuff, it can, you might notice like being more in the pouch, like laying back, or you're here sitting and you're doing pelvic transition, so you're earlier. So doing those practices while you're standing can help.
Mm. I wanted to mention that in the song, he actually says baby, like, I do anything for you, baby. And that's it's such a big thing in my world, like not calling my lover baby, because I've had lovers in the past where we call each other baby and then we end up putting our baby stuff on each other a lot more, it seems. And changing that framework in our mind and in our language it's really helpful. You're not my baby. You are my lover. You're my peer. You're my equal. Let's find another word. So in the song, he's saying, of course, like you die for your baby. It's your baby, but
Yeah.
that's not how it should be with your lover.
No, not at all. D, our mentor and creator of Cheaper Two, uses or incorporates a concept coined by an African American psychologist and social worker, Resma Minicum. He has a book called, he has two books. One of them is called My Grandmother's Hands, and it talks about the pathways through mending racial injustice, and how in that book he talks about black bodies, white bodies, and cop bodies, and how they interact, and what, he does take a somatic approach there. Um, he has another book called Monsters in Love. It was originally written titled Rock the Boat. He transitioned it into Monsters in Love. And basically, it is in that book where he talks about we are not each other's baby, right? And how it is important to recognize that while that is a term of endearment that's used, it can also enable a graying or a lack of certainty or understanding when it comes to how you interact with one another. I don't know how that happened. Like baby as a defined term is, less than 2 years old, right? Something. And so the fact that in a lover sense, we were, the zeitgeist and, moved us to calling each other baby, it is kind of weird. I don't know how that happened. Have I used it in my own relationships? Of course. And so getting to the point where you learn that language certainly is going to influence communication as well as interaction. And so, we infantilize each other sometimes when we use those words, but then also think of the other person in that light. And when they're represented, when they come to us with a problem, and I know this is a part of the issue. Typically, I won't say solely, certainly. Typically, men want to fix. And what I have learned, and I'm still learning, is that when my particular person, she is a woman, when she comes to me, she wants to be heard. She wants to be listened to. I don't have all the answers by no means, but she wasn't even looking for an answer from me. She wants to be heard and listened to, right? So there's a lot of learning pains that's necessary, but I think also, when one-on-one learning the actual person, but then in terms of just more so like the approach from the beginning, making sure that in your own like psyche and body, you recognize that this is a whole adult and you are a whole adult. And that is how both of you should show up.
And if you can, if both if whoever you're in a relationship with, lovers or peers or coworkers, if everybody is able to handle their own stuff to a degree, like catch, and if something feels like too much for their own arms, they can bring that to a person. They have somebody they can bring it to. Then we can all feel safer to interact. It's hard when your patterning might be, well, let me sense what everything is happening and manage it and try to make everything match. But once you can experience for your nervous system what it's like to interact with people who really have got it, and you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to worry about what's going on with them. They've got a handle on it, or they have a person who can help. Then it just feels so much safer and so much better. I'm so grateful for having that experience. It's hard for me too. I'm a twin, and I come from like a crazy family, so it's hard for me, but it's so much better.
Yeah, and it really is a practice, right? It's hard. It's not easy when you come from a crazy background. Yeah. So.
And wanting a quick fix is also some young baby stuff. I was wanting something that can make it better right away. But there are no quick fixes. That can be like some addictive patterning, reaching always for the thing that can just make it better. But with practice and with a coach that feels safe in their own body, that doesn't freak out when you freak out, it can be possible to stay present with any discomfort, because the discomfort that you feel in your body is telling you something. It's telling you how you might be able to move to fix, to help resolve whatever it is. If there's something stuck, if you've got some belly issues and things need to move, if you're able to stay present with it rather than getting lost in a screen, then you can move through it and resolve it. Cat's totally changed his tune. Now he's really cuddly.
Oh.
It's just like...
You rescued him?
Huh? What?
You rescued him from like a shelter?
Oh, he was at the shelter, yeah. He was just there a couple days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think the commitment aspect of things is key too. I think, Chelsea, you mentioned the decision. And I think when you are in a long-term monogamous relationship, it is the daily decision, the daily choice, whether you are married or not. If you intend to, Monday you went to sleep, on Tuesday morning, are you making the same decision or not? And that's every single day. And I think more of the pouring into yourself, but then also maintaining that communication. And then what we said earlier, taking all of your, the energy, learning and knowing who receives the energy that you have. And we can tell you as coaches, audience, that most of it is probably for an elder or a coach. And then, turning to your partner, you can offer some energy, and we can guide you as coaches through ways in which you can even somatically communicate in a way that, you might not have the words for, but you're able to indicate some of the feelings to your partner in a way that is communicative and will ultimately lead to higher levels of understanding, ideally.
And what I've learned with my partner is that you can share how you feel in a safe way. Safe share, not directing the energy right at them, but you can be open and honest if you feel safe, of course, and have all these big feelings. And eventually, it's a practice of not feeling ashamed about your feelings. But it's like if you and your partner communicate in a way that's like, I have this thing inside me, I need to get it out. I'm not going to put it on you, though, so I'm going to throw it at this tree in front of us, since we don't have a Tree for Two coach in front of us or an elder, and they can kind of, witness you, watch you, and on their side, and hopefully still feel safe, because it's not being flung at them, it's being flung the other direction. But then you kind of get a sense of like, okay, relieve myself in front of my partner if I have to, and not at them exactly, and move that energy out so we can continue on in our day together, our dance together, side by side. Yeah. Trees are really helpful if you don't have an elder with you, because trees take your carbon dioxide and give you back oxygen. That's what they're made for. So it's a symbolic way to move through big emotions at times. I know I definitely go to trees, and I'll hang on them, and I'll beat on them, and I'll hug them, and I'll snuggle into them. And
I think there's something to be said about trees and the grounded roots that you don't even see, that make the sequoias and like the large ones that are pretty sturdy, that make them so strong and so able to take that energy. And Dee goes to the trees all the time, right? Fortunately, we can go to her. But yeah, no, trees are pretty powerful for sure. They ground, they themselves are grounded into the earth. So what better non-human thing to go to be able to throw your energy at, for sure.
Right. Yeah, it's hard when you might be feeling in your romantic dance that some big stuff comes up, and you might want to feel held. Like, that dance can be really tricky because we hug and everything, like, and and there's cuddling and things like that. But when really big baby stuff is coming up, how do you navigate that with your partner in terms of being, if they're the supportive surface for you while you're freaking out and in your big feelings? How okay or not okay is that? And I had this experience with my daughter, though, not a romantic partner, but I was carrying her one day when she was smaller, and I was just so tired, and I was just feeling something, and so we just sat down under a tree, and I was like, "Mommy is really tired, but right now, the earth is holding me, and it can help hold you too. So there's more resources for us, even though I'm not able to do everything. I can't be everything. I'm just human. We've got this." So that's been really helpful for me as well.
Lovely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Matilda will definitely know that and learn that and have that as a foundation. So that's really good, for sure.
And she gets mad too whenever I'm not perfect. It's fun, when all these claws that want to come out in the romantic dance, like, why don't you know me? Why can't you do this? Da 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 da. It's really all the stuff that I'm experiencing with my child coming at me, like, why can't you know me and do all this and fix this for me right away, and all these things. And I can be there for all her upset feelings and her discomfort and helping her move through it. But I'm still only human.
I love hearing about your mothering and your experience. And
oh yeah, it's a practice too. I'm learning, and I'm trying to do things mindfully, but I catch the old way of my old patterning as it's happening as well. So I don't do things right, or the way, if there is a right way. I don't do things in the most ideal way all the time. It is a practice. And I have found that being a parent is, I don't know what redos I might benefit from until my daughter goes through another developmental phase. And I'm like, oh, I guess I have some trauma from that time in my life. Let's go work on it. And yeah, it's a lot.
Would you be,
Uh-huh.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you if, I think maybe we should consider doing a parenting episode, because while I don't have any children, we've learned via our certifications, how to, the power differentials and like the space holding. And it's great that you are able to catch that, because not only do you get an opportunity for your own reviews to establish more in your body what's ideal, you get to demonstrate the ideal for the next generation. I feel like that's pretty paramount. And I think how many parents would benefit from understanding some of these things. Like, when things like homework or even just prom, cheerleading versus the football team, like how do we navigate some of these things? And parents having feelings don't even realize what is happening, like it is you're taken straight back to that time that they put the kick me sign on your own back, and when your child comes home with a similar story, you break down and are right there in the emotions with them. You get to anger and want to be up at the school cussing everybody out, neither of which are the best options, right? So figuring out how to have that self-hug, that self-inventory, that push for the parents, like in terms of knowing themselves, then the catcher's mitts for the parents in terms of being able to be that capable space holder for their child, enabling the child to have the emotions, to be able to have the sound expressions, the mouthing consonants of this is what happened and I'm upset about it, and then the celebration of that sentiment and enabling them to move through it via some basketing or something like that, and then ultimately celebrating their voice, enabling them to see some things maybe differently if they need some steering or guidance. But maybe if Bruno's mom or dad had a bit of chief or two, they could have enabled him to get to an adult to where he had his own power stance to like know that catching grenades is not the move. So
Yeah. Maybe. It won't let that. We could totally do, some parenting stuff. It might also be interesting to have Caroline on for something because
agreed, yeah.
she has 3 boys. So
Mhm.
that's a different flavor. And also she's been doing the parenting thing longer than me. But she has different nervous system patterning and challenges. So it would be interesting to see what has been difficult for her versus what's been difficult for me, just because we're different people, but also because she's got 3 boys and I have a girl. And I know they worked so hard on how to raise boys in our world and not have that whole less than ideal, take care of the mother stuff in there. And it's really, really tough because it's everywhere. It's not just in the dance; it's reinforced in society. So it'll be interesting to talk about. Bruno, so it's as far as like idols go and like really famous people, performers. Like it seems like they could be this sort of really hungry baby where they're out there and they really want validation from their audience. So, which can turn into a whole toxic fame situation, and they can turn to also substances and just not healthy stuff that ends up being really detrimental to them. But they, how are the ones that seem like they're handling it okay, handling it well? How do they take care of themselves? And like, so they want to be a performer, but they also are able to, hold space for themselves and then hold space for the audience rather than feeling like the audience is feeding them. It's just interesting to think about. Because also the system that they exist in, I think also is kind of toxic, and fandoms can be really crazy and parasocial and all that. So it's just so many things.
Yeah. Yeah. Putting
Okay.
people.
What do you think, Peepers? He don't care. He's a cat.
Yeah.
He has healthy boundaries.
Well, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. If you have any questions, please email us at chief42podcast@gmail.com. I'm Chelsea Szegidewicz.
I'm Fred Shelton.
I'm Cas Pryor.
I'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening.